Welcome back. Now, Africa's wealthiest man, Aliko Dangote, has announced his willingness to transfer ownership of his multi-billion-dollar oil refinery to the state-owned NNPCL. Now, this statement comes amid a new dispute with a key equity partner and ongoing tensions with Nigerian regulatory authorities. The $19 billion refinery, capable of processing 650,000 barrels per day, began operations last year after a decade of construction. Well, initially estimated at less than half the final cost. The refinery aims to reduce Africa's largest oil producers' dependence on imported fuel and cut foreign exchange spending by 30%. Well, Dangote expressed that he has little personal need for the refinery, emphasizing his contributions to Nigeria's interests. His comments follow claims from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, accusing the Dangote Group of producing high sulfur diesel. Well, however, lab tests contradicted these claims. Well, I would dare say lab tests done within Dangote Refinery actually contradicted these claims, showing Dangote's diesel had significantly lower sulfur content than those of other local producers. Amid these controversies, Dangote has also decided to halt his investment in Nigeria's steel industry to avoid the accusations of monopoly. Oh well, we have with us in the studio Mr. Akin Fatunke, who is an economist and a public affairs commentator. We also have joining us virtually Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, an economic analyst as well. Good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And why do you always join me with my big egbon anytime on your studio?
Because we like the back and forth that comes from it. Now,
what is that?
With the allegation, with everything being thrown up, one would say, is this in any way related to the fact that NNPCL has been unable to purchase the required shares in Dangote refineries? They were supposed to have over 20% of shares, but now they are left with 7.2%, having not been able to raise the monies needed. Is that why we're having this trade-off between Dangote refineries and NNPCL? Is there a link?
Well, in local palace, they say when a child, when a winch happened and the child cried and the child died in the morning, they said it was a winch that made the child cry. They saw in the night or whatever that made the child to die in the morning. So for me, I think you cannot rule that because they are supposed to be critical keys holder in the refinery. And if you go back, why they say they wanted to be part and parcel of that refinery was because they said it's a critical project that they think it will not be nice for them not to be part of it. And at that time, they justify, Nigerian complain about how do you invest such amount of money rather than building your own. So they justify it. Unfortunately, just a couple of days, I think it's Dangote that broke that news that they just have 7.2% stake and they were not able to pay. But I think, by and large, the really problem there for me that I'm saying is because of there's a way we've been doing things over and over again. And when you come in there, you want to stop the way people that have been benefiting from that scheme, they will fight back. Like what you normally say in local palace, you say corruption will fight back. I think those that have benefited from importation of petroleum products into this country are trying to fight back. And who are those players? The NNPC. The NNPC have been the sole importer of petroleum products into Nigeria for the past 6 to 7 years. So who is going to benefit is the NNPC. They are now beginning to look at Dangote as a competitor that will stop them from bringing refined petroleum products into the country. Because if you look at the audited report of NNPC, all their gain seems to be from importation of refined petroleum products into the country. And so now that will stop. And so they are looking at that as one big hole on their purse, and I think they are trying to fight back in whichever way. For me, that I think is the key that is driving all this fight we are seeing. They are using the instrument of government. Remember also Dangote enjoyed so much in terms of effects from the CBN during the building of this refinery because of the critical state that they think this refinery it is to the Nigerian economy. So unfortunately, I think for me, the current administration, body language, the way they've been behaving shows that they are not really ready to partner with Dangote to end this current issue. Look, I was talking somewhere and I told a friend that your local company need to be protected, especially a local company that is going to be a global player. That what happened with Samsung. Samsung is always protected in South Korea, and today they are a global player all over the world. We are not saying that you should give him a monopoly of this thing. After all, there are other refineries that are coming up, and there are other local. We have Watersmith refinery that refine diesel. There are other local Boa refineries coming up. So while NNPC themselves said they are a private limited liability company, they are going to get Port Harcourt refinery working in December. They move it from December to January to April, from April to August. From August now they are telling us it's next year. That they are not saying, nah, this is final. So they should stop playing games and allow us enjoy as a nation that produce crude. Because now, when you talk about the sulfur content, from what I gathered is because Dangote is not able to get sulfur, get crude.
Crude, yes.
Especially Nigerian crude is low in terms of sulfur quantity. It's one of the best. So it's importing some of this refined petroleum product outside. It's importing crude outside the shore of this country. That might be responsible for the high level of sulfur that they are saying it is in there. But the good news is that no Nigerian has complained that the diesel that I bought from Dangote have knocked my car, have knocked my generator.
It's not a one-off. It's something that takes
diesel for 1,900, and now we are buying for 1,200.
Well, it's something that takes time. It develops wear and tear on the engine when the sulfur content in diesel
continues
is high.
to damage the
Yes, that's an overtime kind of thing.
All right, so Mr. Mukhtar, thank you so much. I appreciate the fact that you broke this down and even linked the NNPC to this and the lack of political will, as it were, to get our refineries working. And that's exactly where I'm taking this from. Why do you think the love got lost between the NNPC and Dangote, as it were? Because if you looked at the structure of the NNPC, Mele Kyari remains the MD CEO of NNPC. He was when Dangote struck that deal with the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, and he still is the NNPC boss till date. But let me come to Mr. Mr. Fatsunke. When the MD CEO, rather the CEO of NMDPRA, Mr. Farouk Ahmed, spoke about this issue, he did say that Dangote wanted to have to channel everything about petroleum products to his refinery alone, stopping them from refining. My thought would be that, okay, that would have been a good thing because we're not going to refine. Why is the government persistent on continuous importation of petroleum products as against perhaps the willingness to want to have us produce from our country and lessen that burden of importation and the pressure on the dollar, on the naira?
Let me use philosophy to back myself and speak in wisdom on this analysis. And I will take my cue from William Shakespeare, Macbeth. When Macbeth made those profound statements, two truths are told as happy prologue to the swelling act of the imperial theme. So who is speaking the truth here? Who is not speaking the truth here? I am at a loss. I speak as somebody who has been in that industry, an industry that has been opaque, an industry that has been riddled with monumental corruption, and I say that with all due respect. Mukhtar tried to trace one or two things. The whole thing started where, I guess, from the previous APC, immediate past APC regime,
The Muhammadu Buhari's
all these shenanigans that we had in the place. We didn't have governance, we didn't have good audits, we were not sure if the books were being audited. We didn't also have an effective board. You will recall that certain people were appointed as a chairman of board and all that. That were red flags for anybody.
You mean into the
know.
NNPC board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But most of them haven't really changed. This administration even renewed some of their appointments.
No, they've changed. They've changed.
But Melekere remains the boss.
The only Robert Kari is just the managing director. Okay. And the point is, I'm talking of the board. The board is still being populated by politicians. And that still tells you that you want to face Kwara Namoda and you are going via Atlantic Ocean. You know, you are lost from the onset. Now, the reason why I say this is, let's just take one aspect before I make my final pronouncement, because I have a final pronouncement on this. They say the sulfur content in what Dangote is producing.
His diesel, yes.
Is of lower quality.
Yes.
Who says that?
Below the West African standard.
Who says that?
The CEO of Nigerian Mainstream Midstream.
If I open my trout, it's not going to be, it's not going to augur well for you, for me.
What is the approved sulfur?
My point is, you've got to have a functional lab. Well, I've left the industry about 17 years, but 17 years ago, I happened to know that the NNPC and then DPR,
yes,
that is now the midstream
yes,
that
the
you're talking about,
DPR now,
never had a functional lab.
They never
You
did.
will remember.
Then how have they been functioning?
Is that a surprise to you?
I'm worried. How have they been functioning?
You better get resolved. So let's leave it at your state of worry. When I tell you things have not worked in this country and that we have progressed backwards, I know what I'm saying. I was part of it. You remember at one point in time when we brought in contaminated fuel?
Absolutely. Yes. 2 years ago, 2022 precisely.
2 years ago? No, that didn't start 2 years ago. That was a repeat. I have been there, and I was there when they brought in, when the bad boys brought in bad fuel into this country. And then, of course, you always want to find somebody you are going to point an accusing finger at.
But nobody took the fall till today.
I was going to take the fall.
I'm wondering why nobody took the fall.
No, seriously, I was going to take the fall.
But the federal government should have helped.
Go back into the history. My company that I used to work for are now gone out of the place. It's ExxonMobil downstream. And then, of course, oh yeah, it's Mobil that brought in contaminated fuel because, you know, under then called Moman, market leaders that bring in fuel, about 7, 8 of them, we shift. You bring it in, we all share from that last go. So it was our turn to first of all take. So we took the girl and then it went to our stations. And then the first kaput started. Oh yeah, it's no bubble. I said, hey, wait a minute. We took it to our lab. As at that time, the mobile lab in this country, and let it be controverted, either by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Bola Tinubu today, or anybody for that matter. Okay, so please, I don't want to call names. It was at our lab that it was discovered that all the claims that DPR was making, which is now similar to what I'm beginning to hear now, they didn't have a scientific lab to prove. But we were not only able to prove the fact that the fuel that was imported was the off spec, and so had all the negatives now. So let me now come to, I'll just stop at that.
No, please don't stop at that.
Have we learned our lessons?
How does a regulator operate without a laboratory?
How do you even import? How do you check imported products?
How does it work?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. I don't know.
As a player in the industry.
I am a player in the industry. I'm not the referee.
You are not miffed at the fact that
I've just told you. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying on national television? Do you know how pain is being 17 18 years ago and that we have not learned anything? What are we talking about? You know, Mr. Agbakoba made a statement in the media. We need to recalibrate and restructure the whole of NNPC. NNPC is... I was virtually going to lose. Why do you think ExxonMobil is gone out of this country today? Because of issues surrounding. So, when they started, we quietly went to a lab, found out the wahala at the boardroom of DPR. They are still alive. They are still alive, so they can controvert me. To discover that I was pleaded with. So,
what did you discover?
We discovered that they brought in bad spec of oil, and they didn't have a means to test.
And nobody took responsibility of that.
They are the sole importers of fuel.
How could you take responsibility? Is it the first time that Nigeria is taking responsibility over such things that we are talking about? Have we learned our lessons? No, we have not learned our lessons. And so, what now happened was that, okay, if that is the case, all right, we found the truth. Let us now begin to do things the way they should be done. The business model, the planning business model that Dangote has instituted. Quite a number of us at that time will say, be careful when you want to dine with the devil. This 20% equity that we are talking about, be very, very careful. Of course, strategically, it looks good. 20% will be able to send you the crude. Will my dear friend, 67-year-old Dangote, who I must confess, which is my big picture now, I sympathize with, irrespective of how you want to accuse him of monopoly, whatever it is. Others like him took their money out there, but he decided to build a refinery as big as the whole of Victoria Land, employed so many people. My point is, he should have smelt a rat. Why? The same government at that time were doing these deals, swap deals and all that.
The direct sales, direct purchase, you mean?
And don't forget, Mr. Dangote and Mr. Kumar, I respect those people. I know them, and I know some of the things that they could have done, should have blown the whistle. Hey, wait a minute. This stuff that you are talking about, how is it going to happen? Supposing something goes wrong in the Niger Delta, or supposing Tantina now decides to Tintina us, is this not going to now have a direct negative effect? Where are your books? You don't go into that kind of business. Where are your books? Have the books been audited? Those books were not audited until, when I say audited, you know what I'm trying to talk about here. To now then come and say, hey, wait a minute. When eventually the jury came out, David, we have situations to say that Dangote refinery has taken 20%. The books are showing that. But Dangote is coming at this stage now to say, no, it's not showing that. It's a whole wuru that we have had, unfortunately. Moses, why I like your question, and I can see something came out in your eyes. I say, are you not miffed? Are you not surprised? Am I not miffed? Am I not surprised that we have the whole retinue of the problems we have in security? Are we not miffed that we have the whole retinue of the problems we have in our educational sector? Now, many of these things have been going wrong. Having said that, my belief is that we should, like Wuta said, don't let us throw away the baby with the bathwater. We have a situation that we have a national asset, and I want to speak directly, okay, to the gentleman from the regulatory agency who came out. Again, I have a problem because, you be careful. Be careful. Governance is such that you have got to have a spokesman. You should not be the very first. I said this to Governor Sowolu the other day when they had a problem at Magodo. He now went there, and then they said the policeman said you should go. You should not be the first responder. That is not how it is done. When I saw him on TV talking about sulfur content, the license, I just saw a mismatch. And I begin to see situations where, hey, Dangote, one of the boys that has been there, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, maybe it's one of the 40 Thieves, knew some of the things that he was saying that was going to be frustrated out. Right. I work with the IOC, and I can tell you for free, Moses, the refineries in Europe, all over, many of them are closing down. The ones that are functional, more than about 45% of their output end in Nigeria. They say, here in Nigeria.
Are you saying it's because people are transitioning to
I am telling you that nobody is going to sit down, open his eyes, and then allow that to happen. That is neo-colonialism. What Nigeria needs to do, therefore, is simple. We've gotten it wrong. We can get it right here and now. If you have that political will, and one of those political will is one of the things I've just told you.
All right,
Mr. President cannot continue to be the Minister of
Petroleum.
And then unbundle the... Okay. Should I use the cabal? The cabal in NNPC.
Well,
NNPC needs...
It's been said that there's a high level of... fuel bunkering.
Was CBN not unbundled one way or the other?
And
so if CBN could have been unbundled and we decide that, okay, look, we are going to restructure, we can restructure if we have the mind to do restructure.
Let's, David, please.
All right, I was going to come to Mr. Mukhtar on this, and I'm going to stay with you clearly. 45% of a particular refinery was accomplished and completed, and then the Buhari's administration commissioned it. My question, why was that refinery commissioned at that time? And then secondly, we go to the fact that right now it looks more like the love is beginning to dwindle between the government and the Dangote refinery, the Dangote man himself. Why do you think at this time Nigeria is not even looking ahead of taking our cash cow away from the petroleum sector and diversifying our economy as it stands? Because just like you heard Mr. Fatuke say, in the whole of Europe, they are pushing their product to Nigeria. And Nigeria doesn't seem like a country that would, in any time soon, change or move away from petroleum products. Why do you think all of this is happening?
The ones that we are the one everybody wants to drop the dumping ground for us. And so, like I said, if you listen to Dangote very well, you know that this is an international fight. It's just because it's not being driven by a local player at the NNPC. Like I said, you won't just want it to happen. That's where they've been getting their income all of a sudden, and that space will soon be a thing of the past. They don't want it to be like that. That is one. Secondly, you know how government is in Nigeria. Every government wants to take the glory. I think Buhari felt that with so much they have put in to bring the refinery to the stage that it was time for them to take the glory so that he will commission it himself. Remember, during that commissioning ceremony, Bola Tinubu was already the president-elect, but he was not even there to even witness it.
Right.
Yes.
Even if you look at the speech of Aliko Dangote that day, he acknowledged the contribution of Bola Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos State, when he gave them that land. And today Dangote is finally telling us that they didn't give me that land for free. I paid about $100 million. So when you look at the body language of Mr. President being the Minister for Petroleum, I don't think he should allow this thing to get to this messy stage. Because I think they are using the NNPC, they are using the regulators, everybody, they are trying to come against Dangote for whatever reason. Today they said, oh, he wanted to do monopoly. Is it today that we have seen monopoly in any industry? Anybody that is the first player of an industry have the monopoly. Well, so what do? Let others come and reject them licenses. Like I said, NNPC should be ashamed of themselves when they say Dangote is monopolizing, they want to monopolize the petroleum sector, because they have 4 refineries scattered around the shore of this country. They have all the pipeline that leads all this refinery, all this petroleum product that Dangote doesn't even have such facility. At a point, part of the MOU between Dangote and NNPC was for Dangote to even be using some of these pipelines that NNPC have not been using to channel fuel to its refinery. So you look, when you see the whole idea that is happening here, I can tell you, is because there's a new chef in town, and the new chef in town boys were not part of the deal of Dangote. They want to be part of the deal. That's the only thing I can say. They want to be part of the deal. Dangote knows the underlying issue. It cannot come publicly to say it. Those in government know the underlying issue. They cannot come publicly to say it.
In your opinion,
how
what do you
can
think the underlying
justify
issue is?
how much you have put
Corruption.
in a refinery? Is it our efforts today? The FX challenge that we are facing today was as a result of the kind of effects the then CBN governor was giving to Dangote refinery to make sure that refinery come on stream at a premium. Why can't we sit down with Dangote and say, look, we did this for you, we did this for you. It's not time for you. We have an FX problem. Your refinery can generate X amount of FX to us. How do we not sit down so that you can be pushing this liquidity to the CBN so that we can stabilize our currency? Why are we always playing politics with our economy and our security? Why is it that
Mr. Mukhtar, something you said really caught me, when you talked about the refineries and all that function. And I did remember that even the Kaduna refinery was not calibrated to refine the Nigerian crude, because of its nature. How possible is it that a country will build a refinery that they know that their oil cannot be refined in that country? And it's been like that over time. Then what is the essence of having a refinery in the first place? What is really going on with the petroleum industry?
Precious,
Sir?
that is a Nigerian problem. The new international airport, the new international airport, the one that we call MM2 International Airport,
Yes,
cannot take a 747, and
Whoa.
it was built as a modern airport. So when you go to that airport, you check in through the new airport, but you take off through the old terminal airport, the normal Murtala airport, because bigger plane cannot land on the smaller airport. It was designed and approved by somebody. So it's not today that we have been cutting corners. Whatever is happening to our economy today was the sin that we committed yesterday.
It's interesting you mentioned, Mr. Mokhtar, let me stay with you. It's interesting you mentioned that it's not negotiable that we cut corners. Now, my question will be very simple. At this point, you just mentioned that there is a new sheriff in town. Does that simply mean that we would be having a major risk if this sheriff cannot hands off the petroleum industry as the minister? Or is there any way we can go about this thing to making sure that Nigeria gets better from here on? Because we keep talking about the troubles. We can talk about the solutions as well. Is there any potential risk that the president, who is the minister of petroleum at this time, would take his hand off the petroleum industry?
The unfortunate thing is that the new sheriff in town used to work in the petroleum industry. He was an accountant in Mobi years ago. So I expected that he knows what the problem in the oil industry is. And his junior brother is a key player in the oil industry. He has a lot of advisors that in the oil industry. He knows what he is doing. They know what they are doing. That's all I can say.
All right,
they know how to negotiate their way out of this. It's all about Dangote not ready to play ball.
All right. Okay,
that is why we are having all the challenge that we are having. I can tell you, like Mike Bond said in the studio, till this moment, NNPC books, their auditor report, have not told us that they put it in the idea that they are investing $20 billion in Dangote refinery. And their auditor report have not told us that that 20 billion was not met. They are still saying they have 20% stake. It's only Dangote that came up to tell us that it is 7.3%. But their audited report, their last audited financial report told us that they're having 20% stake and a particular amount has been paid. These are what the president should be investigating, not just sitting and pretending that they let the fight continue. He will not win this battle because Nigerians are not happy. Nigerians are suffering.
Well, we're running out of time, but we'll have your concluding thoughts in a minute. But as you make to conclude, we have Dangote now saying on television that he would hands off his planned investment in the steel sector. Nigeria has been unable to make good use of Ajaokuta Steel, revive Ajaokuta Steel. And we have somebody who was thinking about investing in that sector, but because of the talk of monopoly, has decided to hands off. Now, what do you think will happen if, as ExxonMobil left, Dangote Refinery maybe picks his bags and leaves as well? What do you think will happen to Nigeria's economy? Can you lump it together?
ExxonMobil is virtually left.
Not just Exxon. You have some other. Chevron, it's on the discussion. Shell, of course, you know what happened to Shell. So,
Can you respond in about a minute?
Can I also, so my response will be the fact, who was asking that question, that why are we doing this and all that? He gave an example of MMA. Have you seen our railway stuff that we've done? Kudos. But when you go out there, has it been completed in a way? Do you have, when you are going on the road, you have gates that does here and there? We are not serious. We are riddled with corruption, and corruption has eaten deep. And let me also say, have you heard of a place called Kolomani Refinery?
yes.
During Buhari's time?
Yes.
In the north.
Well.
Because you were asking the question that a particular refinery
Yes.
in Kaduna and all that, because everything that we want to do is going to have to be politics, and because we want to equalize. So, way out, simple. One, I mentioned it. Mukta said that Bola Tinubu was in
Your press for time.
Yes.
in oil and gas. I foresee a situation. I will be hard-pressed to understand that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will allow that investment to go to waste. I have a feel that he's going to step in. I also have a feel that NNPC are making their points. Some people are saying it's the hand of Esau and voice of Jacob. I do not believe that a functional government will allow this to continue to fester. I also think that Mr. President, like we did in the minimum wage,
will chime into the matter.
Stand up, face Nigerians, call Dangote back, and I pray, because we're talking of oil and a lot of the things that we are going to lose, you cannot quantify them.
Your response
and
right now.
My final word: Dangote as a human being must not be killed. Dangote as a human being must not have a stroke.
But I don't think
Irrespective of the fact that they say he's enjoyed some monopoly
I
in the
have
past.
made this last statement that I am making is so very, very, very important. And the only way is to get Dangote back on stream and do what he needs to do.
Thank you to you, Mr.
Thank you.
Akin.
All right.
Let's get final thoughts on this one. Mukhtar?
Mr. President is the Minister for Petroleum. He should do the needful. We need to get our petroleum industry just like what Aramco is doing in Saudi Arabia. We need to get this sector is our cash cow. We must not allow politics to kill one of the greatest investments that is about to be a game changer, not only in dealing with inflationary pressure, but also bringing stability to our exchange rate, attracting more investment in that sector, and giving us effects. Mr. President, the ball is in his court.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Always a pleasure to be with you all the time. Thank you so much for obliging us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have to let you go now, and we'll dive into another conversation.
Absolutely. Coming up next, Peter Obi's team reveals shocking plan for Tinubu to arrest Obi ahead of August 1 protest. That will be after the break. We'll be right back.